Welcome back to Happy Hour, our podcast for young adults here at the Cathedral of the Most Sacred Heart of Jesus. My name is Rick Grinstead, and I have some special guests with me. Normally, we have Holly on with us, my co-host, but this week we weren't able to connect, and instead, I actually have some old friends with me today. So why don't we let them introduce themselves? We're going to start with Chenele. Now, Chenele and Austin both, I guess I'll spoil it a little bit with their names, but Austin and Chenele both are some of my old students. I guess old is a relative term. You guys aren't old at all, but you're my former students. How's that? That's pretty good. So let's hear from Chenele first. First of all, hi, Chenele.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so stressed. How do I sound?
Oh, you
Impressive?
sound phenomenal.
Oh my gosh, I'm sweating through my clothes.
No,
I'm so
it's
glad
okay.
I sound good.
You don't have to worry. There's only about 1,000 people or so that listen to this every week.
Amaze.
Minus
Follow
about
me on
900 or so.
Can I drop my Venmo?
Please, go for it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Chenele. Who are you? Like, what do you do? Why are you here in Tennessee? Because you're not from Tennessee or anything. Give us a little background.
That is true. Okay, so my name is Chenele. I currently live in Florida. I moved back from Philadelphia a couple months ago.
The city of brotherly love.
The city of brotherly love.
And that Philadelphia's name is derived from the Greek word for love.
Which phileo?
Phileo, yes, or filio, or however you want to pronounce it.
I remember that
yes.
from an Annie Auger too.
Hey, all right. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, so I used to live in Philadelphia, moved back to Florida, moved in with my parents. COVID love story, so young adult living with her mom. I currently host a podcast for Ave Maria Press called Ave Spotlight.
Ooh.
So that's where you'll see me or hear my voice if you love the sound of this voice. And besides that, I like to hang out with my dog. I like to sleep until 8. My body scares me awake then at 8 a.m. I hate yogurt, and I love casual conversations about Stranger Things. So
About the show Stranger Things?
yes.
Excellent.
And Stranger Things.
And
like
just Stranger Things
broken
overall.
arms,
right?
you know.
Love that.
Huge sharks.
So you said you hate yogurt, but do you hate yoga?
You know what? I tried yoga and I bent in a position that I don't know.
It didn't agree with you.
Yeah, it didn't agree with me.
Yeah.
So I was out for a couple of years.
I got you. But get you off the DL and maybe back into some yoga. Well, thanks for joining us. Now, we also have Austin Tyrrell with us. So, Austin, again, former student of mine. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing with your life.
Yeah, so I guess one of the spoilers too is that Chenele and I are also from the same small town back in Florida, obviously. I grew up playing sports. Obviously, we were part of the church, and
Well, your voice just took it to a whole other level. People are going to notice. Did you hear that? It was like, and my name's Austin.
And
Yes.
little part of the church.
I like that.
you gotta get up to speed. You know,
There you go.
You gotta walk before you run.
That's right.
So, so I grew up playing sports and going to church, and I was actually fortunate enough to play college football at the Stetson University. Went overseas, got my master's, and then came back and started working in college athletics. Now I was working down in Florida for a little bit at the University of South Florida, and now actually recently moved to Nashville to work for Vanderbilt University and help out there. And so worked out pretty well for this week, I think.
So what do you do at Vanderbilt? Like, what's your title? What are your responsibilities?
Yeah, so I am, this is going to be very exciting. I am technically an account executive for the ticket office of Vanderbilt Athletics. So help sell seats for men's and women's basketball, football, and most recently, baseball, which was very exciting, a lot of fun. We were really good, made it all the way to the College World Series, and then we ran into Mr. Jim Weir's Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Yep, and that was that.
That was very much that.
Yeah.
For anyone who caught that game, that was a rough day in the office, to say the least. But it's been really exciting, an amazing move. I think it was a really good opportunity to kind of stretch yourself and get into a new location, new opportunity, and pretty exciting, and not bad proximity to yourself, huh?
Yeah, no, a couple hours away and right there. So if you guys don't mind, maybe you can tell us what your age range is here that we're dealing with. So
How dare you?
I know, right?
I do mind.
Excellent.
No, I just turned 28.
What? Did
a
you
couple
really?
Weeks ago. Yes.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? You know
Wow.
me since I was 12 years old.
That's
Isn't that so crazy? Remember our first youth group when we stood on the tables and we did trust falls? I was 12. Everyone listening is like, that sounds so scary, but
Pretty sketch there, huh?
So awesome.
Yeah,
no,
that's great.
yeah. So I just turned 28 a few weeks ago.
Wow, unbelievable. Wow. What about you, Austin?
Yeah, so 26 will be 27 in October. So it's funny when Chenele was talking the trust fall thing. I'm just thinking like, man, those were different times, and that's a little painful to say at 26 that those were different times. But yeah, youth group looked a little different.
It did. It just did. And so now you guys are right in that range of who we're talking to right now on our podcast, which is the young adult groups. And young adult ministry is starting to really finally gain some traction in the Catholic Church, right? And we're part of the St. Mindred cohort where the Lilly Foundation has gifted us some resources to be able to do young adult ministry well in different parishes. So we're actually closing ours out. It's a 5-year commitment, and the end of our 5 years is this December, which is pretty wild. So it was happening well before I ever got here. But what I've noticed, especially in this area right here in Knoxville, is our young adults, they're so involved. We have a men's Bible study every week, a women's Bible study every week. We gather as large group. We do special events. We do podcasts. We do all these things, and it's all young adults. It's all geared towards them. Now, has that been your experience in your churches? Like, do you see a lot of young adults where you guys go to church, or are we just kind of living in a special little pocket here? Or what do you guys see in the young adult world in terms of like engagement in the church?
Yeah. So I imagine Chenele's probably got maybe a little different perspective on this, but I know for me is, well, you guys know where I've been a parish member for about the past 15, 16 years now, I would say. And our young adult community was not spectacular back in Florida. I mean, it's a small town, and it's kind of like if you grow up there, you leave, and if you move there, you're settling down, and so there's kind of this like weird 15-year age gap where it's like pretty much post college to maybe 35, 40. You're probably not living in our town, unless something family brought you there,
right?
And then obviously with COVID happening, I was working over in Tampa, but use some air quotes here, working over in Tampa because most of it was remote. So getting plugged in there didn't really have much of an opportunity. And then I just relocated to Nashville. And because of that, still kind of getting plugged in. I've actually got some great recommendations recently that there is actually a thriving young Catholic community in that area, which I'm very excited to get plugged in with. However, the current parish that I go to feels very much like home. There is a
good and bad with that, right?
Right. There's a bunch of brand new Catholics. I could tell you that much. They're that age ranging from 0 to 6 months. It looks like it's going to be a thriving community for years to come. However, we've struggled to relate on several life experiences, and so but it is kind of nice because it does feel like home. Yeah. But at the same time, like finding that community that I grew up with has definitely been tough, especially with everything that's gone on and a lot of the moving that I've been doing over the past 4 years, just kind of being in a bit of a limbo. Nashville's the first place that I've been settled in since probably 2018.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And throw COVID on that, right? So no matter where you were going, it didn't matter because you couldn't do anything or really meet with anybody. What about you, Chenele? What's the vibe in your area for young adults?
Interesting. So I just moved back home to that small town.
Hey.
So yikes. So back when I used to live in Philadelphia, it was, pretty established young adult community. A lot of cool events, a lot of prayer activities, but I would say a lot of the activities were primarily just centered around prayer experiences, which are great. But we didn't have a lot of just fellowship activities to just be around each other and just be young people. So I really love what y'all are doing here. I heard you had your wine tasting.
We did.
Amazed. I would literally just fly down here for a wine tasting. So we didn't just have a lot of those opportunities. And then when I used to live in Denver, before Philadelphia, we had a lot more of those we had a lot more fellowship opportunities and prayer opportunities, which was great. So I would say it's a mixed bag. I think I haven't really found a young adult community that I'm like, rah, rah, for yet.
Yeah.
When I used to live, people are like, oh my Lord. When I used to live in New Orleans before I lived in Denver.
You've been everywhere.
I have, right? To be back home with my mom. When I used to live in New Orleans, that was actually one of the coolest places, I think, for young adult community. Maybe it's like a Southern thing. Maybe the South just like has it right.
Yeah.
But, it was just so awesome. I loved how we would do prayer activities, but then we would also go over to someone's house and have like a crawfish boil, or like just go get beignets in like the middle of the day, or like go do the walk of the 12 churches and then like end up dancing in the French Quarter. Just so fun. And I felt like that was the first place where I could pray, but then also just have fun,
Yeah.
you know? And I think it's just so important to have those two things together, especially as you're getting older, right? As a single person with no kids, it seems like sometimes in the church, there's not a place for
Right.
you.
Right.
And it's either you have to either be married and have kids, or be a priest or a nun.
Right. Right.
And then you have like a community. But when you're single, it's just kind of hard. So,
Sure.
So that was a really good place for just kind of hanging out, and a lot of events too that didn't center around dating, which is also great.
Yeah.
To just not feel like you're going to an event where people are just trying to connect other people, and you could just actually just make friendships.
Right.
So yeah, so I sense that you are doing that here, and I've seen a lot of pictures of your events and heard a lot of good things. So that's awesome that y'all get to do that. I have not found that yet, and Austin is not giving me a lot of hope with his review of our hometown. So I'm not super excited
Not
to
real
re-enter back
thrilled.
in, and not real thrilled. Might drive like 5 hours to Miami and just see if I can find something
Every week.
But, right? But yeah, so not necessarily the best experiences all around, but excited to see if we can make something happen.
Yeah, I think we're coming into a shift where young adults really want real stuff. Like, they don't just want to be entertained. They want like reality. They want tradition. They want answers to questions. They tired of being fluffed over and just, oh no, just put on a happy face or whatever. No. Our lives are being lived, and we need to know that there's meaning and purpose with those lives, right? And I've said it before in this podcast how much I love the young adults in today's day and age, because they question everything, which I actually really love. I think that's how we're inquisitive, and to do things just out of somebody telling me to do it has never really sat well with me anyway. And I realize I'm not a young adult anymore, but I think I was ahead of the curve on that one. So I love being, now you guys are here from these great places like Nashville and DeLand and
Skydive capital of the world, pizza capital of Florida.
All right,
what
don't
else we
try to
got?
backtrack
Dude.
like you didn't just.
No. Not a great place for what is it? Young adults, maybe
Yeah,
young adult
yeah.
Catholics. But if you're trying to settle down,
but
I'll
listen,
sell anyone.
if
on
you're
that place.
being born or dying, we have the spot for
I was
you.
like, you did
yeah.
not exactly sell it.
Okay, whatever. I'm very proud of where I came from.
If you are under 2 or over 98, we
got
know
you.
the city for you. So you're here, though, in our beautiful little city of Knoxville. Why? Why are you guys here? I know it wasn't just to see me. So what brought you to Knoxville?
It was a gift to see you, though. So
Oh, thank
that's
you so
awesome.
much.
I
Absolutely.
mean, honestly, I was thinking of friends that I've even had for this long, and I do not. You are like one of my longest friends. I
appreciate
when I
that.
sat with that. I was like, I just really don't have any friends from middle school, high school, preschool, and nothing. And so besides Austin even,
Heyo.
and all of those people are just connected through youth group, which is just such a gift. And I think of all the times I've talked about youth group and that part in my life and how God just really provided. So thank you for having us in your space, and it's awesome to be around you. We are here for Alive in You camps. So it's a Catholic conference and mission trip camp. We do that every year. Because of COVID, we hadn't gotten the opportunity to do it. So now we're back, which is dope.
Yay.
And so we're doing 2 camps here, which is great. We work in the community and have high schoolers come and stay at Sacred Heart, which is so beautiful. Thank you for letting us stay here. And we have mass every day. We eat in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
We play games. We pray. It's just so fun. So we're here, and Austin lives a couple hours away in Nashville. And because he loves me, and
Obviously.
Yes, and you a little bit.
Tiny bit.
So much. He has driven like hours just to come and help us set up and just to hang out with us. And it's been awesome. So.
And he's playing hooky today, apparently, right? Because today's Monday. That should be a work day. Let's hope they're not listening.
That's okay. I've been in communication with
okay, good. Right. Excellent. That's wonderful. So you say high school students from where? Where are we getting high school students to come here?
Oh man, all around. So we have some from Arkansas. We've had some from Memphis. We've had some from Florida.
Ooh.
Yes. So it's
Georgia, I heard.
Georgia, yeah. So
Indiana this week, I heard too.
Yeah. So it's been really great, like all around. And it's awesome. I love having kids from all around, just getting to learn the culture, the vibrations. And sometimes they bring us snacks from their particular city. So I'm more just in it for the food. So
Absolutely.
So it's a whole vibe. It's really cool to just meet other people. And I think especially after this year of the pandemic, it's been just awesome just to be entering back into any resemblance of a community. And so it's been great just being here with the staff who I've known for years, and then with friends, and just getting to be around the familiar again. Yeah. It just feels like home, right? Like normal.
Yeah, because we can't even have like full-blown camps yet. CDC has their guidelines for camps, and we have to follow those, which is great, but it also really limits those experiences. But what I have noticed so far with our campers and staff is that we're so desperate for something. We'll take anything, right? So if it were 10 people coming here, we're in. We're doing it. Now, how long have you been a part of the Alive in You kind of staff and doing things for Alive in You? Austin, I'll let you field this one because I think you were maybe a little bit longer, or so it's almost the same time. I don't remember.
Well, I kind of cheated. So my experience was Alive in You so I started going as a camper. I think my first camp was in 2010 in Chattanooga, which was that was a funny camp for our youth group. But then the following year we went to, I think it was in Atlanta the following year, and then the very next week, Alive in You actually came to our town and was set up at our high school, and. At the time I was playing football and I was, it's summertime, but I'm up there every day for training, and I would just, we helped set up over the weekend. And then, the staff was like, well, I mean, if you're like going to be on campus anyways, like you can come hang out or whatever, like, you check out basically, and Rick vouched for me, which was really helpful.
That's right.
And so anyways, showed up and there wasn't, I'd stop over after workouts, and they're like, well, just a little insight to staff life, but they're like, everyone's asleep, but if you want to go home and shower and come back, like we will have some stuff in the afternoons basically. And so that's what I ended up doing so for a whole week, I basically was, kind of a honorary staff member and kind of like hung out in the kitchen and,
Take out the trash.
Yeah. There was a particularly legendary trash bag that I got to take out. We're an outside campus at DeLand, and the stench lasted for about 2 hours on the trail that I had walked, and there's no evidence that trash had gone through there. So not my favorite experience, but anyways, for some reason I was like, this is awesome and I want to keep doing this. And so I was actually really fortunate that and Rick was very kind about kind of letting me indulge in this as a youth member, because I understand, having grown up a little, I could understand a little bit of the logistical nightmare that it could be to have a youth out past certain times. But I got to hang with the staff, help out to the point where it was we show up day one and some of the staff members would weed through the crowd and be like, yo, Austin, what's up? Good to see you again, kind of thing. And we would just catch up. And so I think 2015 was the first year that I actually got to work. I finally worked it out because at that point I was in college and playing college football, and finally worked out my training schedule towards all right, Jim, who owns the owner of Live in You, Jim and Heather. I was like, hey, if y'all can give me access to a gym, if we can work something out here, y'all can give me access to a gym, I can figure out the time constraints, all that stuff will make it work. And they were more than accommodating. I am endlessly grateful to them because, I'm sure Chenele can attest to this, but working Alive in You, you feel like you get more out of it than you give, even though I will say you do give a lot to be part of the staff. And so I just am eternally grateful to them. And so 2015, I worked 2016, Took a year off in 2017, then back in 2018, and then I was out of the country in 2019. So did not make an appearance then, and then back again in 2021. So yeah, it's an amazing experience. It's something I'll never forget.
Isn't that funny to go backwards and just kind of picture that as you talk about the years, you're picturing it and seeing like remembering all those places and spaces and people. I mean, how many people, my goodness, have
Oh my gosh.
throughout all those years, how many students have come through? And the beautiful part is the service part of it, right? Because it is a conference too, so we deepen our faith, but the service component is the primary thrust of why they're coming, right? Because you can go to lots of different conferences. It seems like there's a conference every other day for whatever, but the real service and conference mix, that's actually a rarity. Now, Chenele, you kind of started coming onto staff. Was that was post New Orleans? Once we did post New Orleans, what?
Yeah. So I think I started my junior year of college. I was like, that was my first year on staff. So like 2014. And yeah, so my junior year of college, I had applied to staff like the year before and I hadn't gotten on. But then I applied again and I gotten on. It was great. I hadn't done the helping as a high schooler thing. I wanted to, but I was a little shy. So I just went on like every trip that I could. But then the first trip, Live and You mission trip that I went on was in 2008 or 2007. I forget.
2008.
Yep. I was in 8th grade. So,
that picture just came up, by the way, on my memories from 2008.
Baby,
yeah.
Yes. So I was in 8th grade, and that was the first year I went on it. We went to New Orleans. I had fallen in love with New Orleans. I'd fallen in love with Alive and You, and I just thought it was the coolest thing to be able to just travel the country and like pray and talk to young people and to set up opportunities for them to thrive and like help other people, and to see other young people intentionally trying to do something good. I thought that was just so cool.
Yeah.
As like a teen that didn't have a lot of sense of purpose.
Right.
I thought that was super dope.
So was it St. Ignatius? If you're out there listening and I'm wrong, just correct me in your head or online. I don't care. I think it was St. Ignatius who just said, pray and serve. Like when all else fails, just pray and serve and you'll find your way along that path. And that seems to me what Alive in You really is about, and maybe what so much of our life should really be about. Because I think when we live in North America, it's very me-centered, like, what am I getting out of this? But when we serve, like you said, Austin, we tend to get more out of it than the people we serve. And I think that's across the board. You want to be happy, you want to be fulfilled, you want to experience life to its full, serve somebody. And you'll see that you can't replace that joy when you help somebody out. So we actually talked on the podcast a couple of weeks ago about how to experience joy, and we looked through St. John Bosco's 6 ways of experiencing joy, and one of them was really live with joy, Jesus, others, you, in that order. In that order, you experience Jesus first. You live for Him first, then others next, and then yourself. And when you live in that order, I mean, it's life to the full. So I know we're already out of time, which is crazy. I wish I could have you guys on, like, I don't even know how many more times. We could do like 5-part series with Chenele and Austin. Yeah, Chenele's not ready for that. So.
No, what?
But it brings me such a great sense of joy to see you guys and see the Lord working in you still. And all those years ago when you first started, it's crazy to think of where you were and then now where you are. And if you wait a few more years, maybe like 50 more years or something, you can move back to DeLand, Austin. But I think
counting the seconds.
Prerequisite's 65 years old.
You're making it real hard to be excited about.
Number one downtown and outside of Orlando and Florida, guys.
That's right.
Come on.
That's right. I think it won an award at some point.
It's won multiple
awards. So if you're ever in DeLand, visit Chenele.
Visit me.
Visit Chenele and the old folks home and the nursery.
I will be at home with my mother. So come and hang out. It's very fun.
It's tremendous. Thank you guys so much for joining us on Happy Hour.
Thank you for having us, Rick. I mean, obviously, not to take up too much time. I know we're trying to close out, but just, I think Chenele and I would both agree that, in terms of the difference that you've made in our lives and the stuff that you've, as far as serving, done on our behalf is there's not enough time in the world to thank you for that. And I think I feel very comfortable crediting a lot of the foundations of my faith life to the teachings that you enlightened me to and help us find through prayer, sacraments, and just like living out a devoted Catholic life. And so thank you for having us on. For the people that are listening, I think that you're in good hands, and continue to listen, because one of the biggest things that Rick has done for us is changed our lives and brought us together and blessed us with Chenele and I wouldn't know each other otherwise, I don't think, and it's just really special. And so appreciate you doing this. Appreciate you indulging us with a little 30-minute hangout. And,
it's been great. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys, and being able to do this and be a part of the ministry here is truly an honor. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for listening to us. You can always follow us. Find us on your favorite podcast, whatever. If you are an Apple person, which I clearly am not. If you've listened to the show, you know this. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, but also Google and Spotify, and just insert the name there, and you can find us. Search for Happy Hour Cathedral Young Adults. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.